Welcome to action from Rotax Max Challenge South Africa, round 2 at Calsos Garanti Kart Circuit in Port Elizabeth. And as you can see, conditions completely different to what we had in qualifying yesterday. And these guys and girls are going to have their work cut out for them in Micromax. Let's catch up with a couple of the team principals and coaches in this category. The guys and girls who are putting all the work into these youngsters to ensure that they can get, in these tricky conditions, the best out of their karts. Not going to be easy to do, but I'm sure that with the likes of Fabian Lance, Carl Lawrence and Ricky Perdigo, they'll let us know.
So in the Micromax category, we have Ken Swartz in the team. First time in PE, so really tricky for him, nothing that he's used to, so he's having his hands full. Today the weather turned, which we did see on the weather forecast, once he was right, and so it's making it extra tricky. Reza Levy's been very dominant the whole weekend already, so we're sort of chasing him the whole time. And then Mohammed Murat has showed some good pace as well, and Reese Koetsen also from time to time has showed some very good pace. So naturally I think those three are sort of the top three, and I think who's really impresses is Louis Ware. He's with Squadra Corsa, he's doing really well, so I'm very impressed with his performance.
I don't know, it's very difficult to judge now the way that the weather's changed, the way that we're even not sure at this point whether we're going to have any dry heats today or whether it's going to stay like this for the remainder of the day. So to make a judgment call based on today is going to be virtually impossible, but from warm-up there was a mixture of guys running slicks and wets. Those on wets, especially Naidu from Durban in the Burl team, doing a fantastic job on wets, very quick. Reese Koetsen, I expected him to be a little bit quicker in the wet, but third quicker struggled a bit. But I think himself, Reese Koetsen, Naidu and Levy are definitely going to be the ones to watch, especially if it stays wet like today.
Circuit over here being PE and as abrasive as it is, tyre is key. So the child that's, at 8 years old, it's very difficult to have a thoroughbred race driver. So the child who is really soft on his hands and really soft on his feet and can maintain his tyres is the boy that's generally going to get away. So yeah, setup is quite difficult. You look after tyres.
Looking after tyres is important, particularly when the tyres are now going to do the wet weather stuff. But look at those times, 55.041 for Sambudla at the top of the qualifying, and down in 12th place, Ken Swartz on a 56 dead. So it's literally a second between the top 12 here in Micromax.
Pole position, you must be happy about that.
Yep, I feel seriously happy. Tomorrow I'm going to try my best to win it, and if I do, it's going to be amazing.
The circuit here, you obviously like it.
Yes, I love it.
Have you raced here before?
Yes, I have. My big hunters right now is Reese and Murat, and yeah.
What's the strategy? What's the plan? Have you got a plan, or is it going to be look at what happens in the first race?
Let's just see what happens in the first race tomorrow.
Reese, front row, not a bad place to start this weekend.
Yeah, this is my first time here. I've been in cadets here, and I came second, and me and Joaquin, and now it's my first time here in Micromax. And first time ever, no, this is my best track, and the times are good here, and I qualified second, and
what do you like about this circuit?
I like coming out of here, and it's very fast, like you just like turn and then you just went like that, and then it just goes fast.
So it's that change of direction and stuff that you like. Have you got a plan to work on for tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm just going to try my best because Reserve has won round 1 of nationals, and this is my second chance. If I win this, then I still have a chance to get my Western Province. So I just hope I'm in the top 3 for the qualifying, and the weekend I'm not sure, probably top 3. Just trying to get it.
Do you like the circuit?
Yeah, it's fine.
It's totally different to Killarney. It's got different characteristics.
Yes.
What's the strategy?
The strategy, just to try and slipstream and try to overtake. My plan for the weekend is I'm going to try and get in front, try and get away, especially. Don't want to be held back. I want to stay in the front because at the back it's always commotion. So I'm going to just try and get in front and try and get away.
Who are the guys to watch out for this weekend?
You have to watch out for anyone because anyone can come out of nowhere, but really the top 3.
So into race number 1 now, joining me in commentary booth for this round with very tricky conditions for our Micromax. Prince Ndweni, would you like to be out in the cart right now?
I don't know. I'd probably embarrass myself. I think these kids would do a lot better job than me with juggling all the tricks and the different dynamics they actually have to handle in the wet weather. But I tell you what, some people look hungry for the pole position, in particular Luviwe Sambo, a very bright young man. We'll see if he's able to defend himself against the likes of Reese Corson, who got in second there, and Joshua Smith, among others.
Oh, and right at the start, a big crash. Oh, there's a lot of carts involved there. I think it was 2 or 3 carts involved, but Sabudla hangs on and heads down into turn 1. Looking a little bit further back. No, hello? Who's gone off there as well? 663, that is Mapula. Mapula with some problems at the back as well, so it didn't go according to plan for a couple of carters. One man I was looking to find through that pack is the Razor. Reza Levy, the dominant factor down in Cape Town, had a little bit of issues in qualifying, finished in about 7th place in qualifying, and he's now in about 5th or 6th place, just behind the 639 cart as you come through there of Eric Haystack.
Jeez, PE has proved unpredictable for some of our, should I say, experts or drivers coming out from other circuits who are used to different conditions and more dry setups. I know PE is sort of throwing a spanner in the works for a lot of our drivers this weekend.
Murat in second at this stage, and Reza trying to close things down, but a lot of work to do there for him. He's too far back right now to influence the front end of the race. 639, we saw a little bit of action with him, but Eric Haystack in the Praga hanging on for now. He's trying to close things down there on the 655, and you can see Reese Kuzin with Sambudla in the mix as well. So Kuzin and Sambudla making up ground now. Let's see what's going to happen at the front end of this race, because what you don't want to do right now is make any mistakes in these tricky conditions.
Very, very slippery. It's going to be hard for these young men to work their way around a much more wet track. We saw a lot less challenges for the older guys and the bigger cars with the DD2s. So we'll see how the young men adjust to these conditions.
Steven Naidu definitely starting to adjust to conditions rapidly. He's moved himself up into a potential for the front end of this race, and Naidu eating through the field. He's got ahead of the 627, so some changes expected here. And Mohammed Rurat just hanging on for dear life in that Praga. I'm not quite sure if he's going to be able to hang on for all the race, but certainly right now they're all hanging on to survive. That is for sure. And you can see Kuzin coming through there. Reza Levy in the 645. He comes flying through turn 2 and 3. All over the back of him, just trying to pick up on that number just to the back there. 629 is that cart. That's Carl Bierkus. So Carl Bierkus and Reza Levy, those are 2 cart drivers that we saw at the front end in Cape Town. And right now, they're in the mid-pack, fighting for 5th, 6th, and 7th place. Not where they want to be, that is for sure.
Yeah, you can't predict what PE is going to give you, but just looking at the qualifying times, there's hardly anything in between, say, the top 6, 7, even all the way down to 8. Everyone within the same second, everyone in the same 0.6 of a second.
Sambudla under a bit of pressure now. Looks like it's going to be a change-up for the lead here, because all of a sudden Divan Naidu is all over the back of him. And Naidu is looking dangerous. The FA cart under big threat there from the Brill Artman. Naidu definitely looks like he's the quicker of the 2. So they come down into turn 2 now. They go into turn 3. There's a dive on the inside into 3. He's got through. They're side by side. Oh, watch for the cutback. No, he can't quite get up the inside there, but definitely massive pressure being applied to the man out front. And I wonder if that's going to be pressure that he can handle, or is he going to buckle?
Naidu making light work of the spray coming from Sambodla's cart there, keeping his composure, making sure he's marking out all his mistakes and capitalizing. But Sambodla seems to be opening a bit of the gap, but Naidu's very close by. He can't get comfortable at all.
The viewer is looking over his shoulder the whole time. He's missing his apexes, he's missing his braking points. He's having to go defensive every single time he gets on there, and that's not what you want to be doing at the front end of a race. You want to put your head down and get away. He's not able to do it, and the FA cart is battling there against that Brill Art machine of Divan Naidu. Naidu is having a super run here in this first half of the race.
Yeah, the FA cart has a lot of straight line speed, but it comes to nothing. Just as I was saying,
that was a big one.
That was very close. Someone clipped over his front left.
Murat.
Who was that?
It's Murat. Murat has gone and clipped him on the inside, and unfortunately spun out himself. So it looks like Sambudla's got back on track. Has Murat been able to do that? The biggest winner of that one was, of course, Divan Naidu. Look at the gap he's got now over the second place man there, and that's 655. He can come through there. Reese Kuzin putting the pressure on and realizing that with 2 of the hot contenders out, he would have passed him, parked on the sideline. I'm not quite sure if Murat's been able to get back on track. We did see some Budla get back on, but I wonder if there's any damage to that cart, because the 2 of them clipped each other. There you can see in the background, and there you go, in our shot. 627 out. What a pity there for Mohammed Murat. And that is some Budla again. He's spun again. There's definitely an issue on that cart. he's got a problem, and it's not going to be the correct handling cart that he needs to finish this race at the front end, where he started from on pole position.
It's going to be very difficult for him to recover. It's a long way up. But just looking at how they've got a lot more elements to deal with, apart from the guy in front and behind you. Just the rain in itself is the 16th, 17th kart driver out there. You constantly have to keep their mind on keeping it neat around the key sections. We saw one Zambodla there sort of buckling under the pressure that he was getting. So it can really be a difficult thing to navigate, staying focused at the same time.
Eric Haystack in 6:39, the Praga closing in on the back end now of the 6:29 kart of Carl Bierkus. Bierkus doing the same thing there, trying to close that gap down to Reza Levy. And Levy, well, he's been gifted an opportunity of a top 3 finish if he can just get through there and find a way past Reese Kuzin, who's just up the road from him. So the battle there between Kuzin and Reza Levy, kind of what we saw in Cape Town.
Oh, another casualty to the slippery stuff.
Yeah, just catching himself out there on the rumble stuff and on the rubber on the outside. And unfortunately, that is a big mistake there coming out of Carl Bierkus.
Yeah, his Praga couldn't handle all the turn there.
Coming through 655, that of course is second place man. And right now, Kuzin is under attack. Reza Levy has found some good race pace here in the latter part of the race. Similar to what we saw in Cape Town. In fact, if you look at the kart setup he had in Cape Town, he didn't have great pace in the front, but by the time the race finished, he was right there and winning races. So maybe they've gone for the same kind of option here in PE, knowing that possibly the rain is going to slow down or calm down a bit. It has, you can see, it's not as wet as what it was. It's certainly stopped raining, that is for sure. There's a lot of spray still left on the circuit, but definitely clearer conditions now for the latter part of this first heat.
Yeah, it makes things much easier for these young men to navigate. It's already difficult enough being there at full pace. But I just saw someone going a bit wide there, the 641, not sure who that was. But he managed to recover in time just to block off the 670 behind him.
Ethan Deacon fighting there with Caleb Cottrell, and in fact in the mix was Ken Swartz as well. So those guys just going to try and finish things up here. Right, we're coming into the closing stages now. And with a lap and a half to go, it looks like Diva Naidu is not going to be bettered, because this is the battle for second, and it's between Reza Levy and Reese Kuzin. Kuzin goes wide. 655, 645. Battle of the fives there as they come into completing the penultimate lap and starting their final one.
Levy looks very aggressive. Kuzin has to keep it together. At any moment now, he's going to dive right on the inside.
CRG versus Cosmic, this is what it's all about. There's the inside line. We ran a bit wide there, opened up the door. Perfectly done.
Beautiful.
And it looks like coming along for the ride there, Eric Haystack also looking for a chance to put that Praga up ahead of the Cosmic chassis. It's being piloted right now by Kuzin. Lovely stuff here between these three. This is the battle for second now. As they come flying through, Reza Levy holds on to second place with half a lap to go. Can he keep it all together now and possibly keep the rest of these karts at bay? Kuzin and Haystack being the two protagonists on his tail. Checkered flag time for that man. Diva Naidu stayed out of trouble. Fortunately, didn't get caught up in that little incident with our leader. And he takes the flag. Great job. So, confirmation of results there. Diva Naidu taking the win in the Burrell Art ahead of Reza Levy. And Reza Levy there in the CRG comes through for second place ahead of Reese Kuzin. Haystack in fourth, beating out Joshua Smith, Carl Bierkus, and then Ethan Lennon ahead of Ethan Deacon, Cottrell Mingai, Mapula, and Sambudla eventually down in 12th.
Tell me about that race one. Things got very, very busy.
Yeah, it did. So yeah, I was very happy when Levy went 6 spun, and then I had such a big lead. So yeah.
So did you like the conditions? The wet conditions? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it's fun, and I love the rain. So yeah.
Out front in Micromax for heat number 2 now, 698, our race 1 winner. Alongside him, Joshua Smith. Didn't expect that, but Josh Smith getting some great times in. Behind them, they line up thick and fast. Murat alongside the 639. The two Praga boys going to be going at it from the second row. And I think we're going to see a lot more action coming out of Eric Haystack. He was certainly in the mix in that first heat. Wow, look at that. Sambudla having to come from the back now and almost going off the circuit, clipping one of the cones, in fact, as he went down into turn number 1. Remember, different start line and finish line here at the circuit. But out front, it is Murat who's got the whole shot. He's been able to sink through and get ahead of Diva Naidu. Reza Levy tucked in behind the 655. And you can see Reese Kuzin and Levy going to go at it again, possibly for a race win here, if they can find their way back to the front end.
And I was just going to say, Sambudla's definitely going to be focused on recovering from some of the mistakes he made. He's got a lot of time to make up for and a lot of racing to do between now and the chicken flag dropping.
The second red helmet out there is Caleb Cottrell, not quite the man we expected to be up in 5th place right now, but a phenomenal start out of Caleb. A lot better than what we saw in the first heat. He's ahead of the 2 contenders that were on the podium. So that is much better stuff there from Cottrell. Out front though, little visor lift as you can see, just to give himself a bit of breathing room and stop the helmet visor from misting up. It's not a bad option there, but it will get a little bit of moisture on the inside. As you can see, 698 all over the back of him. That's Naidu. Then 670 is Cottrell with Kuzin and Reza Levy, the Razor, looking for a way through. Can't find it just yet. Now as they come into the twisties, slightly different lines coming out of our lead man. 683 there in 3rd place. Good start from Joshua Smith, as I said, but he was on the front row, so that helped him out a lot. And there you can see why qualifying and getting in those hot laps is so important. And Smith up to 2nd. Great move ahead of Diva Naidu. Naidu into 3rd now, demoted down. Oh, Levy pushing it to the limit and over.
The same section that caught someone else there last time.
And look at that, he had to wait for everybody to go past. Reza Levy has gone from what is about 7th place on track to the back of the pack down into 14th. He's lost 7 positions with a small mistake.
You mentioned the young Caleb Cottrell who just came in and out of shot there in the 670 cart. He's going to have to be focusing on fending off the people behind him and capitalizing on whatever mistake might be made ahead of him. So he may be in a sweet spot considering the battles that are going on in front of him.
And staying consistent would be good. You don't want to make any mistakes in these conditions, that is for sure. It's smooth turning in, it's smooth throttle control, it's very smooth braking. Any hard braking here could be costly. And any, of course, hard accelerations, as we saw there from Reza Levy, can also cost you dearly. You've got to try and stay in between the yellow lines, which of course is what the rule is in karting. But every now and again that rule gets just pushed to the limit and over.
Kuzin looking in his rear view mirror there. Reza Levy is not in sight anymore, so I don't think he has much pressure to worry about. Now he's going to be focusing on catching Caleb Cottrell as someone else loses it. 639 again. 639
getting out of shape. That is a big mistake from Haystack. I thought he would be able to maintain that pressure and soak it up, but he hasn't been able to. Just pushed himself a little bit over the limit. So Murat now with 683 all over the back of him, and that is a big concern. So I can tell you something, there's not a lot of room to play there as they come flying through the twisties. It's so good to see somebody different at the front end with Joshua Smith now fighting ahead of Diva Naidu. Diva Naidu race 1 winner down in 3rd place at this point. And look at that, Smith goes for the lead. He had a big look there and couldn't quite make it stick. He will now though. There you go. Sets it up and gets through on the Praga cart, taking the lead, and now moves into the front end of the field for the first time in 2019. And I think for the first time in a long time in terms of his racing career, I don't remember seeing Joshua Smith at the front end of a race for a long, long time.
That was a nice move by Smith. I think he's taking a page out of some of the seniors' books there. We saw a lot of those with the DD2 races.
There you can see, well, 627 Murat trying to stay with him. And Diva Naidu applying the pressure onto Murat. Bringing along for the ride, as I mentioned earlier on, Caleb Cottrell. Cottrell has stayed out of trouble. He's in 4th place. And as you said earlier on, Prince, that sweet spot seems to be working nicely for him.
Exactly, he's in Diva Naidu's wake there, and he's definitely catching up to them because of the battle that's going on with Smith as well as Murat. So he's very soon enough, we might see him capitalizing. He's right on Diva Naidu's bumper, although he does bring in his wake the 655 there. So it's going to be a bit of a tricky few, maybe 2 or 3 laps to come.
Look at what's happening in the front. Because of Murat going on the defensive, it's allowing Joshua Smith to get away. And Smith now putting the hammer down, trying to capitalize on that advantage that's been gifted to him by the Praga man in 2nd. Praga man steps up the game though on that lap, closes that gap down again, applies the pressure. Oh, a look over the shoulder, don't do that. A big look over the shoulder there from Joshua Smith, and he nearly lost the position because of it. Having a look to see how far back those carts were, nearly cost him the 1st place. Murat 2nd. Diva Naidu is 3rd still as they come in, and then of course Caleb Cottrell. Red helmet, very reminiscent of what you would be racing if you were racing sort of offshore boating. But here today, it's pretty much offshore boating. It's inshore boating because there is so much water on the circuit for these Micromax competitors.
Yeah, Joshua Smith better make use of his team down the sidelines instead of looking over his shoulders. He's going to pay dearly for looking just as Caleb Cottrell goes on the inside. What a move on Murat. He managed to secure 3rd place right behind is that one Diva Naidu.
And clearly no team orders in the Praga team, because he just dived up the inside of his teammate and made him pay. So Cottrell up to third, behind Naidu into second. It is the 627 of Murat who's lost out. Not as badly as he did in the first heat. Remember, he had a big incident in that first heat. And now he's got some problems of his own with 655 all over the vacuum. Reese Kuzin has come back into the mix and back into a podium finish potentially.
Divi Naidu better be careful. He's got one red hot Caleb Cottrell right behind him. Joshua Smith still looking behind him. I don't know if it's going to pay dividends. He better be careful. He just might lose it, because one little lapse in concentration, just as Caleb Cottrell closes in on Naidu there, one little lapse in concentration might cost him, because it's so slippery.
No, you don't want to miss your breaking point. You don't want to miss your apex. Running in numerical order behind them, as I said, is Kuzin, and on his tail, look at that, Luviwe Sambudla. Big return from our pole man from race 1, and he's now in with a chance of a top 5.
Yes, we haven't heard his name in a while, but he's done well to build his way up. Troubling the 655 in front of him there, Reese Kuzin, for him to look over his shoulder. Clearly he's got the pace, and you can hear his engine right behind him.
So we're coming into the second half of this race, and things starting to heat up in the top 6 here. There's Sambudla looking on the inside, gets up, and I think he made it stick. He's got through there on Kuzin. Kuzin lost out, and Sambudla up 1 position. Is that right? Yes, it is. There we go. 656 ahead of 655 now as they come down. White helmet into what is 5th place. So a little change up there between those two. Out front, though, no issues at all for the 683 at this stage. Joshua Smith keeping it plain and simple and smooth as you can. But looking over your shoulder, don't do that. Oh, it's going to be costly. He's going to kick himself when he makes a mistake, if he does.
And did you see Divi Naidu having a quick look there? He optimized, because he knew as soon as he looked over, he's losing. He's losing time when you do that.
Sambudla with a very misty, clear visor on that arrow helmet of his, so he might be battling with a bit of vision. And Divi Naidu now looking to capitalize on the man out front. Cosmic Chassis under big threat, and there's a big move coming out from Divi Naidu. Naidu dives on the inside, or does he? Yes, he does. Naidu on the inside, he's got through. The Brittle Art man just squeezes him out and gets up into that lead, taking it away from Smith. Smith there in second now with pressure coming from Caleb Cottrell. Cottrell going to try and capitalize almost instantaneously on the man who's been caught out for the lead.
No one is relaxed here. The front two constantly checking over their shoulders. Caleb Cottrell's put a lot of pressure on one Joshua Smith there, so he's got a lot to watch out for. He's going to have to fend him off for a bit and be a bit defensive. I wonder if he can keep it together.
Watch out for Sambudla though. He's starting to put a bit more pressure, and a bit more pressure than I'd like to see. Going to have to be very careful he doesn't hit that nose cone. It's very tight between himself and the 627. Front end looks like it might be a change in the lead. Yes, I think there was a change. Yes, indeed. Oh, can you believe that? I think Smith has just spun out. Josh Smith just spun out, trying to avoid the action that was happening with the current leader, who, of course, at that stage was not himself. It was all about the 698 of Divi Naidu. So Naidu getting out of shape there and spinning out, and looks like a whole change up for the front end. And there you can see Smith is not happy about that. Gesticulations to the COC and to the marshals saying, what was that all about? Come on, I was leading the race and now I'm down in 6th place.
And the man we've been tipping to optimize off a mistake theory is Caleb Cottrell. His patience has paid off. His consistency, you said, Greg, has paid off. And he's gotten the gains from waiting for as long as he needed to.
Mohammed Murat going to try and close his stablemate down now in that Praga team. He's got Sambudla all over the back of him, and look at Sambudla's nose cone. It looks like it's knocked in ever so slightly there, so Sambudla could be up for a 5-second penalty just ahead of Divi Naidu. Cottrell has been caught. We're on the final lap. Mohammed Murat now trying to close him down and find a way through. The two Praga boys going at it. As I mentioned earlier, probably no team orders in that team. Every man for himself. Cottrell goes defensive. Murat cuts back. Let's see if he's able to get the drive now. He gets the drive. Can he get alongside and into the twisties? He's up the inside. He's got him. Murat on the last half of the race has got through on Cottrell. Cottrell going to try and fend off Sambudla and Divi Naidu.
Nice aggressive driving from Murat there. Kept it very clean. Caleb Cottrell kept his composure as well. But he's going back on the inside. That says nope. Just having a look.
Having a look. But as he has a look, Divi Naidu moves to third ahead of Sambudla. So checkered flag is on standby. Here they come to the line. The two Praga boys might cross the line almost side by side. It is going to be Murat to take the win. Cottrell in second place. What a run there to the line from the two Praga boys. Reese Kuzin is going to be gifted third place due to the fact that unfortunately Sambudla was given that 5-second penalty, which gives Divi Naidu fourth place Ethan Lennon 5th, and Sambudla eventually down in 6th place. It was Smith, Levy, Haystack, Swartz, and Minge beating out Carl Beekers for your
Talk
top
to me
12.
about that second race.
The second race was good. At the start, for about 5 laps, I was leading, but then I started getting tired and the car started just going down. But then I was 3 guys past me. I was in 4th, but I tried my best. Davian and Joshua Smith, they made an accident, and me and Caleb went through, and I managed to catch Caleb and pass him on the last lap.
So this third race, what are you hoping for? Wet, dry? Because this rain has started again after the dried out. So what are you hoping for?
I hope it to be dry because it'll be much better. I'm starting from 7th on the dirt. I just want to try and get a good start, and yeah.
Race 3, here we go, Micromax, and on the front row, Divan Naidu, alongside him, 656. That is Sambudla. And these are 2 gentlemen that would love this final victory. Let's see whether or not they're going to get that. Behind them, they line up, and any one of the top 8 could potentially spoil the day here for their competitors in Micromax.
And it's no surprise to see that pair leading the grid, the Minimax grid here. Micromax grid, I apologize. They spent a lot of time in race 2 behind some of the quickest drivers in the thick of some of the battles we saw, as we see Divya Naidu leading the pack with Sambudla right behind him. They've managed to keep their positions. I think I saw one Joshua Smith there up in 3rd, and is that Caleb Cottrell?
Yes, it is. Cottrell into 4th. Cottrell into 4th place, just ahead of Murat as they come through there. So Mohammed Murat now with the attentions being shown there from the 639 cart. And I can tell you something, there's nothing in it there. Eric Haystack and Murat in similar chassis, similar machinery, definitely got the similar kind of pace. But look at the spray. The rain has come down in between the 2 heats, and we've got a little bit of extra water on track, which is going to make it even more difficult for these drivers.
So what, Divya Naidu is no easy man to race against. So if Sambudla's going to do something, he's got to do it very early, because he's right on Naidu's bumper. So he better take advantage of whatever mistake he could make in front of him.
Speaking of mistakes, hopefully Joshua Smith's not going to make a similar one or get involved in an incident that costs him like it did in the second heat. You can see how unhappy he was after that second heat incident, running wide. Sambudla using a little bit of the curbs as they come through there now and pushing hard. Look at these guys, absolutely nothing in it between the top 2. Little gap to 3rd, little gap to 4 and 5, and then 5, 6, 7 and 8th place going at it big time. Reza Levy all over the back of Kuzin and Murat, and there is nothing in it between those 7 drivers. It looks like the gaps might be opening up a little bit, but that might just be giving themselves a little bit of breathing room and some spray room as well, because if you're right up the exhaust pipe of the cart in front of you, you're not going to see anything. So you might just give yourself, like they do in motocross, a bit of roost gap.
Yeah, and probably anticipating it's going to be a long race. They can sort of take their time and leave some of the moves to a bit later on. And it shows that they kind of understand the pace that their carts have and the performance that they can give them. So some of the experience from the earlier races coming into race 3 here.
Murat closing in on Smith. First place, Sambudla applying pressure onto Divan Naidu, and I think Divan Naidu is certainly just taking that pressure in his stride at this stage. Whether or not he can keep it all together, he's looking over his shoulder. That's not what you want to be doing. You know how important it is to keep your eyes on the road. Don't look behind you.
Yeah, not when you're turning left and you're looking right. So it's not going to help you at all. So I hope he can keep his composure for a bit longer. Sambudla is hot on his heels though, or on his wheels rather.
And the rain is starting to fall again, so we've now got even trickier conditions for these youngsters to contend with. Oh, what a day in the saddle. What a tough day for karting. But it happens all the time. And remember, these guys are all fighting for opportunities to go and represent South Africa at the World Finals. So at the World Finals on a few occasions, we've had even worse conditions than this in terms of rain. So it's not a bad thing to learn how to drive. And of course, the only way to learn how to drive in the rain is to drive in the rain.
100%. That's why I've seen some of the Idube boys in particular performing pretty well, because they're used to wet conditions, whereas our Gauteng and Cape Town drivers and some of the East London drivers struggling to adapt to this tricky condition.
Chatting to some of the drivers and some of the moms and dads as well, a lot of times when it rains in Cape Town or in East London or even up in Gauteng, they actually take the carts out to give the guys a chance to actually experience what it's like in wet weather conditions like we've got today. And that's not a bad thing. Great stuff. So remember, the World Finals this year are in Sarno, Italy. And at the time of the year, Italy usually gets pretty wet. So it's not a bad day's racing, actually, in the long run. But today, they're going to be thinking to themselves, what are you talking about, Greg? You have no idea. It's terrible racing in these conditions.
Yeah, today's the day where they cut their teeth, really. They'll harken back to this day when, for a few of these young people, that they get to spend a lot of time racing in Italy.
And that, of course, is where Jaden Als won the World Championships in Sono, Italy in 2015. So hopefully we're going to see a couple of these youngsters stepping it up and potentially giving South Africa another World Karting Championship. Sure, we've had a lot of those. There's been a few. We've chatted to a couple of them today. A lot of them are actually here helping these youngsters out, and certainly showing that South Africa has got what it takes to run with the world's best. At CIK, at FIM, FIA, you name it, we've all got it. And it's great to have them all powering through here, these very tricky conditions for the day.
Yeah, Joshua Smith there showing that sort of a championship pedigree with a nice move down the inside of Mohamed Murat. But he's going to be keeping close in his wake. He's not going to let him get away that quickly. We're not very long away from the chicken flag, so it's going to be crucial for him to actually stay focused and stay in the path of Joshua Smith. But out of ahead of them, not really in sight, or not really in reach rather, when Mohamed Murat is not really very easy to catch up with.
No, Murat diving on the inside there. It's actually Divan Naidu.
Divan Naidu, my mistake.
No worries at all. Naidu is at the front end. Murat fighting there with Smith, the two of them going at it and banging bars. But speaking of world champions, remember, the most amount of world champions we've got is 5-time world champion out of Cristiano Magado. He wasn't here today, and I don't think he's only going to be arriving at the Africa Open later on in the season to try and win that seat. But let's see whether or not he can do that again and potentially go for a 6th world championship title. These guys all looking for their first South African titles and possibly for a world championship later on in the year. But it's still going to be done here today, and you can see 6:55 is starting to come into play. Reese Kuzen, as Murat dives on the inside, gets through on Smith this time. He cements that move and gets through. Or does he? Yes, he does. Only just. And then Kuzen comes along for the ride as well, and Sambudla gets out of shape, and unfortunately nowhere to go there for the 6:39 machine.
They're going to need some help from the marshals there. Oh, man. Oh,
Eric Haystack has had a tough day in the saddle. He's had unlucky 1, 2, and 3 heats. It's just not working out for him today in that Praga. Leader slowing down. Oh, no, that's Sambudla. Sambudla slowing down there. So Sambudla slowing down after that little incident. Straight into the clutches of Caleb Cottrell and Reza Levy.
Caleb Cottrell's not going to let him get away. We saw what kind of performance he can put together in race 2.
Ken Schwartz also into the mix now as well, but it's nearly all done and dusted here. Joshua Smith hanging on for a potential top 3. Murat wants to take that one away from him, and Reese Kuzen is there as well. So who is going to have what it takes here? Divan Naidu is out front, but Murat potentially going to take 2nd place here, or is he? He's got to find a way back through Smith again. Smith retaking that 2nd place away from Murat. Now Reese Kuzen's in the mix, Caleb Cottrell and Reza Levy. There are 5 carts fighting for 2nd.
It's not going to be an easy battle for the final 2 positions of the podium. Naidu has nothing to worry about. Smith down the inside of Murat. They're very nicely done keeping it clean. We'll see if Murat has an answer to that.
No, not this time. And it's going to be a hard day in the saddle for the maneuver that has to be made here for 2nd. Murat with Kuzen on his tail. Cottrell and Levy. They've got to find a way through on Smith. Smith currently in the best seat in the house in 2nd place. Not quite the ultimate seat. The ultimate seat is too far down the road for these guys to worry about. Divan Naidu has done it all right, and I think he's going to possibly take this final victory on the day. But who's going to get 2nd and 3rd and those final 2 steps of this podium?
Reza Levy's done well to even get a whiff of Caleb Cottrell's rear bumper there. I've seen him sort of tailing him and trying to maximize on some opportunities that he gets. But out at the front of this battle for 2nd and 3rd, Smith is slowing the battle rather between him and Murat, is slowing the pack down. That's why you're able to see your Caleb Cottrell sort of close the gap. Reza Levy as well, optimizing on the opportunities that he sees there.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff here between these 5 karters. This is the future of karting, remember when these guys get up into junior, senior max, and can you imagine if they all get up into DD2, and we have similar races in DD2 that we're seeing from our current crop of drivers. These youngsters are certainly hungry for victory and fighting hard now for the last part of this final heat of Micromax.
Yeah, by the time their voices break, they're going to be huge trouble on the track.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think some of their voices might be breaking right now because they're probably screaming at each other as they go through these turns, and frustration levels are starting to feel and come to the fore as well as they come through now into the twisties again.
World-class racing, all keeping it clean, very neat. We haven't seen anything ugly. Elbows out, but not too much, keeping respect for each other. A lot of defending to do for Smith, though, towards the end of the race. Murat is not going to let him get away with it easily.
A look over the shoulder there from Reese Kuzen. And as we start the final lap now, you can see it's clean and clear at the front for Divan Naidu. But I think this is the battle for 2nd and 3rd. I don't know if there's going to be an answer from Cottrell or from Reza Levy. They're too far back now. Second and third place is going to come from one of these three. And there's a dive from Murat into second ahead of Smit. Smit now, can he keep out Reese Kuzen? Kuzen looks dangerous. Maybe he's been waiting for this last lap to make his move.
Biding his time there, but it doesn't seem to be paying dividends. They just opened a bigger gap, and you've only got half a lap to go. Murat's making it clean. He's going to keep defensive. He doesn't have to be very open and loose at this point.
And that's exactly what he's done. He's just put the cart in the right place. Smit with a look over the shoulder there. I think Reese Kuzen saw that. Watch for the dive on the inside here from Kuzen. That is the leader, Divan Naidu, as he heads towards the line. Divan Naidu is going to have this one clean and clear. And he comes across to beat out Mohammed Murat, who keeps out the rest of the pack, but only just, because Joshua Smit was right on his tail, as you saw just in the background of that shot. And then behind them, it was Reese Kuzen, Caleb Cottrell, Ken Swartz eventually getting through there on Reza Levy on the last lap to beat Levy down into 7th place. Ethan Deacon and Lennon coming through for 8 and 9. Vivi Sambudla, the man who set the pace initially on the weekend, down in 10th. Bierkus and Haystack, your top 12.